Discover how I made an incredible choice. Canceled Mom's card and uncovered a life-changing truth. Jake could feel the walls closing in on him. Lost in his thoughts, he paced the small living room of their suburban house, the remnants of his retail job lingering like a bad hangover. The shadow of his mother Carol loomed large, her expectations pressing down on him like the weight of the world. "You should be achieving more, Jake," she'd said just yesterday, her voice pained yet insistent. In the midst of his confusion and self-doubt, he stumbled upon evidence that sent him spiraling deeper into chaos. When he discovered the unopened bills carelessly hidden among family photos, Jake realized that his mother's bright smile hid a dark secret: thousands in credit card debt. His pulse quickened, anger swirling in his chest like a raging storm. This wasn't just about money. It felt like a punch in the gut. How could she do this to him? In a fit of defiance, he made the decision that would change everything. He canceled her credit card. Instantly, the silence in the house cracked open like an egg. "What have you done?" Carol shrieked, her face a mixture of disbelief and rage. Jake felt the rush of adrenaline compete with the weight in his stomach. "I did what you couldn't. I took control." The fight that ensued was explosive, a volcanic eruption of hurtful truths that laid bare their fractured relationship. Words flung around like daggers only deepened the wound. Jake stormed out, feeling the electrifying mix of relief and regret. He was free, yet painfully aware of the chasm that had formed between them. Then tragedy struck. Just days later he received the news. His grandfather had passed away. The tight knot in Jake's chest tightened even more. Grandpa, a proud World War II vet whose stories of resilience and grit had always inspired him, was gone. As he sorted through his belongings, Jake discovered a hidden box filled with letters, love letters, letters of struggle, battle notes against injustice. Each page he turned was a treasure trove of wisdom, a haunting echo of his own life. Reading through those letters, Jake felt an unexpected shift within. His grandfather had faced hardship and made difficult choices too, always striving to fight for what was right, much like Jake was now trying to break free from his mother's grasp. The words beckoned him to reconsider everything he thought he knew about responsibility. The wisdom buried within those letters ignited a spark, a longing for reconciliation, not just with Carol but with himself. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As the community veterans event approached, Jake felt a shifting tide within him. Standing in front of a gathering of veterans, parents, friends, and families, he readied himself to share his story of hardship and choices made. His heart raced as he stood there, his voice trembling but resolute as he spoke of his grandfather's legacy of love, forgiveness, and the necessity of confronting difficult realities. Yet, as he scanned the crowd, there was one face he desperately sought: Carol's. Did she see him now? Was there still hope for them to bridge the divide? The question hung in the air, leaving Jake aching with uncertainty, as he realized a new journey lay ahead, if only he could gather the courage to step toward it. As the day of the veterans event arrived, Jake felt a whirlpool of emotions inside him. Everything looked different. The crisp autumn air filled his lungs, but it didn't lift the heavy blanket of uncertainty that clung to him. Each step he took felt like the sound of a drum vibrating through the pavement, echoing the battle raging in his mind. Should he even reach out to his mother? Could anything possibly mend what had been fractured? His heart thudded as he entered the community center, a place filled with the laughter and chatter of families gathering to celebrate the heroes who had served. Jake scanned the room, colors and voices swirling around, but nothing caught his attention quite like the familiar warmth of his grandfather's worn jacket draped on the stage. It was a reminder of the man who had faced worse battles than the one he waged against himself. A lump formed in his throat as he approached the podium. When it was time to speak, he took a deep breath, gripping the edges of the wooden lectern. "Today we gather not only to remember our veterans, but to learn from their struggles." His voice wavered at first, but with every word it gained strength. "My grandfather taught me resilience, but more importantly, he showed me the power of forgiveness. As he spoke, he channeled the stories he had learned from those letters, the ones that detailed struggles, but also unwavering hope. A hush fell over the room, and Jake felt the weight of every attentive gaze upon him. He pushed through the insecurity that gnawed at his insides and continued, I stand before you not just as someone mourning the loss of a loved one, but also as someone who has had to confront the difficult truths in his own life. In that moment he glanced toward the back of the room. There she was, Carol, standing like a statue, her arms crossed, eyes glistening with unshed tears. A wave of mixed feelings crashed over him. Did she understand the words he was saying? Did she know he was reaching out to her, even if she didn't know it yet? After his speech, the applause washed over him like a warm wave. People surrounded him, offering words of encouragement and consolation, but his eyes kept drifting back to Carol. Her expression remained unreadable, but he could sense the tension between them like a taut string threatening to snap. As the event wound down, Jake took a breath, heart racing. He walked toward her, stepping over the sea of familiar faces. Each step felt monumental, heavy with the potential for reconciliation. Mom, he started, his voice softer now, breaking the ice of the cold gap that had formed. Can we talk? The moment hung tenuously in the air. Would she hear him? The hurt ran deep, but perhaps, just perhaps, they could find common ground amid the rubble. While he waited for her response, Jake couldn't help but wonder if the delicate thread of connection that had frayed could be rewoven. Did forgiveness lie in their future? Or was this the beginning of yet another battle? As they locked eyes, the uncertainty hung thick, a storm brewing on the horizon, ready to either tear them apart or bring them closer, depending on the choices they made next. Would they step into the storm together? Or would they let it tear them asunder once more? Jake inhaled slowly, the air tinged with faint remnants of freshly baked pies and warming spices. He held his breath, hoping that this moment would carry more weight than the strained silence between them. Carol's eyes darted around as if searching for a way to escape. Jake, she finally whispered, her voice trembling. What do you want to talk about? He felt the knot in his stomach tighten further. I want to talk about us. About everything. Her expression shifted, the walls around her heart rising brick by brick. There isn't much to say, is there? You've made your feelings clear. Mom, please, he urged, his voice softer now. I'm not here to blame you. I just want to understand. I need to know what happened between us. Her gaze flickered, a brief moment of vulnerability washing over her features before masking it again. You wouldn't understand, she murmured, looking down at her hands, twisted together in a familiar gesture of stress. Try me, he replied, step closer, his heart thudding painfully in his chest. You know me. I'm not that kid anymore. I want to learn. She shook her head slowly, as if refusing to accept the challenge. You say that now, but you don't see the whole picture, Jake. Things, they never turned out the way I hoped. I was lost. Maybe we can find a way back together. His palms were damp, but he kept his hands steady at his sides. We're both fighting our own battles. I didn't understand when I was younger, but I do now. I'm trying to forgive, and I need you to try too. Her eyes widened slightly, startled by his admission. Forgiveness isn't easy, honey. He took the leap, his words pouring out with urgency. I know, but it's possible, isn't it? Just like the veterans we honor today. They fought through unimaginable pain, they learned to let go. Why can't we? Carol looked at him, silent tears beginning to track down her cheeks. You don't realize how deep the hurt goes. Her voice cracked, revealing the weight of her own guilt. Then help me understand it. You taught me about vulnerability, about honesty. Just tell me how you feel. For a moment, the world around them faded as she stared into his eyes, searching deep within herself. I felt abandoned, she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. You didn't just lose your grandfather. I lost someone too. I didn't know how to be both mother and mourner. I thought pushing you away would protect you from my hurt. Jake's heart throbbed painfully for her, an ache of compassion swelling within him. But it didn't protect me. It drove a wedge between us. The tears flowed freely now, and Jake wiped his own with his sleeve, desperate to fight back his own sorrow. I want my mom back. Not the ghost of her, but the real person who loves me. The words hung between them, a bridge reaching out over a canyon of hurt. He could see something shift in her eyes, a crack in her armor, but it was fragile and still uncertain. I'm scared, Jake. I don't know how to mend this. Neither do I, he admitted, stepping closer. But we can figure it out together. As the tension between them held the air taut, Carol took a breath that trembled and steadied her heart. Maybe I want to try. But it won't happen overnight. Can you be patient? I'll wait, Mom. A hint of hope lifted his spirit. We both deserve that chance. Just as a glimmer of understanding began to spark, a loud cheer erupted from the crowd nearby, pulling their attention. The celebration was picking up, but it felt distant, a world apart from what was happening here. Will you stay longer with me? Jake asked, yearning for the connection to solidify. Just for a moment. As they exchanged tentative smiles, Jake felt a wave of possibility wash over him. Perhaps the storm was still looming, but they stood together at the edge, ready to step into the unknown. But in that echo of hope, one question lingered in his mind: had they really taken the first steps toward healing? Or would past wounds pull them back into darkness when faced with an unexpected revelation? The laughter and music from the celebration drifted in and out of their conversation, a reminder of the life outside of this moment. Jake's heart raced, fueled by the fragile connection forming with his mother. He kept his gaze locked on her, watching the delicate play of emotions cross her face: fear, hope, uncertainty. Let us take it slow, okay? Carol said, wiping a tear and attempting to smile, but it felt tentative. I don't want to break what little we have left. Just tell me about it, Mom. Tell me about the moments when life went off track for you, Jake suggested, trying to peel back the layers of hurt that had built up between them over the years. She hesitated, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her shirt, contemplating. The warmth of their surroundings only seemed to amplify the chill in her thoughts. I want to say I have regrets, but it's more than that. Her voice trembled. When Grandpa died, it was like the ground fell out from under my feet. I was lost and I didn't know how to find my way back. I thought burying myself in work and shutting you out would be the best. But I see now it only pushed you away. I know it wasn't easy for you. I felt it too, Jake replied cautiously, leaning a little closer, wanting to bridge the gap. But I need to understand your journey. What did you really want? Her gaze flickered to the crowd, as if searching for refuge in the noise and lights. I wanted to be strong, she admitted slowly, finally facing him fully. Strong enough to take care of everything, to be the mom you needed. But I crumpled under the pressure and I thought you deserved better. Honestly, I thought if you never saw me break, you'd be proud. Proud? The word hung like a heavy weight. Mom, I just wanted my mom. The person I could count on to hold me when things got tough. I never stopped needing you. A soft sigh escaped her, mingling with the crisp autumn air. I forgot that sometimes just being there is stronger than putting on a brave face, she confessed, her voice dropping to a whisper. I thought silence was strength. Jake took a deep breath, feeling that old hurt begin to ebb away, replaced with warmth. Let us change that. Let us take the time now to be real with each other. We can share our doubts, our fears, everything. It might be messy, but it's our story and I want you in it. Carol's eyes glistened anew with unshed tears. Can we really do that? Her voice cracked slightly, hinting at uncertainty. Together we can. I'm willing to be patient if you are, he replied, his own heart racing with possibility. As the night deepened around them, the crowd's excitement grew bolder, filling the air with laughter. Yet here, wrapped in each other's gaze, it was just them and their fragile hope, a flickering candle in a chilling wind. The world began to fade again, but attention pulled at his mind. Something wasn't complete. There is something else, isn't there? Jake asked gently. Something that happened when I was younger that you're still hiding. What is it? He could see her visibly stiffen, fear flashing across her face. She opened her mouth but then closed it, her eyes searching his as if wrestling with an unseen turmoil. Jake, there are things about our past I didn't want to share. Things that could change how you see me forever. That statement settled like ice in his veins. What was she keeping from him? What truth loomed within the shadows of their shared history that could shatter the delicate thread they were weaving? His heart raced with both dread and curiosity, urging him to uncover whatever this hidden truth was. Mom, please, I need to know. I want to face it with you. Her breath hitched and time stretched, heavy with anticipation. Would she reveal the past? Or would it remain another ghost between them, haunting their hopes for reconciliation? Carol's eyes glistened as she appeared to wrestle with 1,000 unspoken words. The confidence that had blossomed moments ago started to wilt under the weight of history. Jake, I never wanted you to carry this burden. I thought it was for the best for both of us. But what is it? Jake pressed, his voice barely above a whisper, urgency dripping from each word. It's about your father, Carol finally whispered, the tremor in her voice just audible. I never told you the truth about him, about why he left. A cold shiver ran down Jake's spine, piercing the warmth of their moment. His father, the specter in their lives, had always been an absence filled with silence, questions unasked. What do you mean, why he left? Didn't he just want a different life? Carol shook her head, her expression shifting from uncertainty to something deeper, fear mixed with regret. No, it's more complicated than that. He didn't just choose to go. He walked away from us, from everything, because he was haunted by his own demons. Demons? Jake's heart raced, cranking up the tension. What demons? Jake, your father had battles with addiction, substance abuse. I was so scared when we were together, terrified he would slip back into it. After Grandpa died, everything spiraled. He felt like a failure, and I didn't know how to help. I thought if I just kept you safe from the truth, he wouldn't have any power over us. I didn't want you to see me weak or see him as weak. I thought it would make it easier for both of us, she admitted, voice breaking. Jake was stunned. He felt as if the ground had shifted beneath him. The father he had imagined was a man full of courage and strength, someone who would never leave. But now that illusion cracked, revealing a darker truth that hurt just as much. Why didn't you tell me, Mom? All those years I thought it was me. I kept wondering what I had done wrong. Why I wasn't enough to keep him here. Tears rolled down Carol's cheeks. Because I didn't want you to blame yourself for something you had no control over. I thought the silence would shield you from pain. But I see now it only isolated us. I held on to my strength, but it came at such a terrible price. The noise of the celebration outside faded into a surreal backdrop. Jake's heart ached, caught in a whirlwind of emotions. This changes everything, Mom. Everything I knew, everything I felt. I know, she said, her voice shaky yet resolute. But it doesn't have to define our future. We can work through this together. I want to tell you everything, to finally be honest, to give you the pieces of our past so we can build something real. Please let us not let this destroy us too. Jake looked deep into her eyes, unsure whether to feel anger or sympathy. He wasn't ready to forgive, not yet. But there was something in her sincerity, an undeniable plea for connection. I don't want to hide anymore either, he replied, letting the warmth of understanding seep in. We have to face it, even if it hurts. A long silence fell between them, heavy yet tender, as they shared unspoken commitments. Suddenly, the crowd erupted into cheers outside, a stark contrast to the vulnerability within. Carol reached out and squeezed Jake's hand, grounding them both. We'll do this, Jake. No more secrets. Just as he began to absorb this new layer of their story, another thought tugged at him like a forgotten nightmare. What happened to him? He asked quietly. Did he ever try to come back? Carol's face changed, tension creeping back into her features. That's where the pain lies. After he left, I got sick. It felt like everything fell apart. Jake's heart raced again, fear and curiosity growing. Sick how? What did he do? Her eyes darted away, a flicker of hesitation washing over her. Jake, there's still more I need to share. And it's not just about him. It's about me. Things you still don't know. The crowd's enthusiasm faded away, holding both promise and dread in the air. The truth beckoned, but what exactly was lurking beyond her words? Carol took a deep breath, her chest rising and falling with the weight of unspoken truths. Suddenly, every sound from the boisterous celebration outside felt distant, as if they were encased in glass. It was just Jake and his mother, two souls hanging in a delicate balance, each tethered by a complex history they were just beginning to navigate. Mom, you're scaring me, Jake admitted, his voice trembling. What do you mean it's about you? What else is there? She wiped her tears with the back of her hand, as if trying to brush away the weight of years gone by. After your father left, I didn't just get sick physically. I was lost. The only thing that kept me going was you. But in trying to shield you from my struggle, I spiraled. I fell into my own dark hole. What do you mean? He pressed, his mind racing. You mean there were times when you just didn't want to be here? Her silence was heavy, But her eyes swimming in vulnerability answered for her. I had moments, Jake. Moments when I felt like I couldn't breathe, when I wondered if I could just disappear. I kept up with the facade, even when it felt like I was crumbling inside. Jake's heart ached, the image of his mother, strong and resilient, starting to fracture. The world he thought he knew was shaking apart. But why didn't you let me help? Why didn't you say anything? Because I thought that if I burdened you with my pain, you'd end up hating me or resenting your father. I never wanted you to think that I was broken, she confessed, voice quivering. But in hiding my truth, I ended up breaking you in ways I wasn't even aware of. He felt anger flare, and then fade into deep sadness. His mother was more human than he ever realized. I don't want to see you like this, he said softly, fighting back tears of his own. You shouldn't have to. And it's time for me to fight back, she replied, determination glimmering through her sorrow. When I found out I was sick, it was like a wake-up call. I realized I was wasting precious time. I had to choose a different path. I don't want to live like this anymore. A flicker of hope sparked in his gut. What do you mean? Is there something I can do? Carol squeezed his hand tighter, her grip a mix of reassurance and urgency. We can face this together. I've started therapy and I want you to come with me sometimes, to understand what I went through so you know it wasn't your fault. I need you to see how we can both heal. Jake nodded slowly. I can do that if you really want me there. I do. But there's also something else, she continued, her brow furrowing. When your father left, he didn't just walk away from me. He owed money, significant sums he had wrapped in bad choices. I kept quiet about it all this time because I didn't want it affecting you. But it's all been catching up to me. Jake felt the ground shift again beneath his feet. You mean we're in debt because of him? Because of his mistakes? It's more complicated than that. I thought I could manage it, that I could keep us afloat without involving you. But it's taken a toll. I had to cancel my credit card just to stop the flood of calls from creditors, she said, her voice breaking like a soft wave hitting the shore. Why didn't I know any of this? Jake asked, feeling blindsided. Why didn't you trust me? Because I thought it would just push you further away. I wanted to protect you, but I see now that I was suffocating you with secrets, she replied, eyes filled with regret. But forgive me if I ask for one more chance. If we can rebuild our lives, the truth can set us both free. Realization washed over Jake. Everything was a tangled web of choices and consequences. But what if it gets worse? What if the truth is more than we can handle? Carol looked him squarely in the eyes, and for the first time there was a spark of optimism. Maybe it will be, but we'll face it together or lose ourselves trying and find something new. So what do you say? Are you ready to uncover the past with me? As he looked deeper into her pleading gaze, a whirlwind of emotions swirled within him. Faces, memories, pains. Was it really time to confront it all? And as uncertainty loomed, Jake knew one decision could change everything. But was he brave enough to take that leap? The warmth of the celebration outside felt so far away, and all Jake could focus on was the heaviness of the moment shared with his mother. The weight of her confession hung between them, pressing down like a storm cloud ready to spill. For a heartbeat he hesitated. Should he take the plunge into this murky unknown with her? Let us do this, Mom, he said finally, his voice steady. Let us tackle it all. I'm ready. Her face lit up, a mixture of relief and gratitude washing over her features. Thank you, Jake. I promise it'll be worth it. They started discussing therapy sessions soon after. Carol laid out her plans, a list of local therapists, some with good reviews, others that friends had recommended. It felt like a small mural beginning to color their lives. But when they took a break from the list, the talk turned deeper, hinting at old wounds that remained unhealed. What was it like for you having him just leave? Jake questioned, his heart racing as he broached the subject. Carol paused, the memory clearly a sharp wound. It shattered me. I didn't understand why he left, why he couldn't just stay and fight for our family. But you were my lifeline. Every time I looked at you, I felt a reason to carry on. You were my hope when I was drowning. Jake nodded, realizing the myriad of emotions buried under the surface: betrayal, confusion, and a craving for answers mixed together. Did he ever try to come back? No, she replied, shaking her head slowly. He broke that bond completely. It was like he erased us as if we never existed. Tears filled her eyes, but she blinked them back. But I've learned something through all this. I can't keep carrying his weight. I've got to put it down. The next few days passed in a blur. Jake tried to juggle schoolwork, friends, and these stirring conversations with his mom. Each moment reminded him of the complex tapestry of their lives, the precarious balance of love and hurt. They began attending therapy together, and it was both terrifying and freeing. During one session, they were asked to write letters to each other. The letters were meant to express everything they'd kept buried, revealing truths without the shield of spoken words. As Jake wrote, emotions crashed in waves. Love, disappointment, fear. He penned feelings he hadn't realized were there, stitching together fragments of his childhood memories. When he handed the letter to her, he felt raw but liberated. Later, Carol read hers with trembling hands, her expression a mix of sorrow and acknowledgement. "I'm so sorry I didn't know," she whispered after reading. "I never realized the effect my silence had on you." Jake pulled her into a hug, feeling warmth flood through him. "It's okay, Mom. We're doing this together now, right?" The cautious hope in his voice echoed their newfound bond. But as they moved forward, the realities of their troubles loomed larger. The creditors were relentless, and the bills kept piling. The feelings of anxiety and uncertainty tightened around them, clouds gathering for another storm. One evening, as they sat together at the kitchen table going over the bills with gritted teeth and heavy hearts, Carol's phone buzzed with a notification. It was a message from a number Jake didn't recognize. Her face turned stark white, and panic washed over her. "What's wrong?" he asked, instinctively grabbing her hand. It's from a number I think belongs to one of the creditors," she stammered. "They're saying I need to get in touch immediately." Or his heart raced. "Or what, Mom?" The tremor in her voice told him everything. They were standing at the brink of a cliff, and perhaps the truth could either pull them back or plunge them into darkness. "What if this is the tipping point?" she murmured, shaking her head as fear flickered in her eyes. Jake took a deep breath, feeling the weight of their truth once more. Maybe it's not just about uncovering the past anymore. Maybe it's about fighting for what we still have. As Carol stared back at him, the storm brewing within became even more palpable. They were ready to tackle the world together. But what secrets lay buried within that taunting message? And in the corner of the room, the shadow of doubt loomed larger than ever. Jake felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand upright as he observed his mother's expression morph from worry into something that looked alarmingly close to sheer panic. They had weathered enough storms together, yet the magnitude of the moment hung heavy in the air, suffocating and electric. "Mom, just breathe," he urged, trying to inject a hint of calm into the swirling chaos between them. She nodded, but her hands were visibly trembling as she hovered over the phone. "Should I respond?" The question escaped her lips as a whisper. "Maybe it's not about what they want from us. What if it's about what we want?" The certainty in his voice surprised even him. The fight in them had to rise to the surface, even if it felt like Davis Associates was gunning for them. "I don't want to lose everything, Jake," she murmured, squeezing his hand tighter. "You won't," he promised, resolving to protect everything they had built together. "But we need to figure this out. Let us read it." With a trembling breath, Carol tapped the notification, revealing the message. The stark, sterile language hit hard: impending foreclosure, a final warning, and a deadline looming like an executioner's axe. Jake felt sick as he read the words, but he pushed the nausea down. "It's okay," he started, though unsure if he was comforting her or himself. "We can call them and negotiate. People do that, right? It's not like we're asking for a handout. Just some time." Her eyes bore into his, searching for reasons to bolster that flickering hope. "Can we? Do we really have that power?" The possibility lit a small fire within him. What if we told them about the therapy? About how we're working to fix everything? Maybe that could buy us some time. A flicker of determination shone in her eyes, but the doubt still lingered. What if they don't care? What if they treat us as just numbers? "Then we find a way to make them see us as more than that," Jake replied fiercely. "We're not just numbers. We're a mom and son fighting for our lives. That has to mean something." The room fell into silence, punctuated only by the ticking clock echoing their heartbeat. Just then Jake's phone buzzed, shattering the quiet. He glanced at the screen. It was a text from his best friend, inviting him to hang out and escape for a couple of hours. "Maybe I should," he started, But as he looked back at Carol, he saw her fear mirrored in his own heart. Going out felt impossibly trivial in the face of their reality. Go, she urged unexpectedly. You've been carrying this weight too. You need a break. We'll figure this out. Jake hesitated, torn between the need for an escape and the urge to stay put, arm in arm with the woman who had kept him solid through so much. Just a couple of hours, okay? And let us sit down again later after we breathe, he said at last. We'll regroup, promise, Carol reassured, her worry still faint in the depths of her eyes. As Jake slipped into his jacket, the weight of urgency settled deep in his gut. He couldn't shake the feeling that dark clouds loomed beyond this moment, ready to unleash. All they had to do was find a way to hold off the storm long enough to get their footing. Outside, laughter and chatter floated through the air, happy, carefree lives dancing in stark contrast to their struggles. He sighed, thinking of the message waiting for them. We'll handle this, he muttered under his breath as he stepped outside. As he walked towards his car, he knew this moment of respite would be short-lived. He still had the panic about their future in his back pocket, heavy and ominous. What if that message didn't just hold their fate, but also a shocking revelation that could redefine everything? The chance was there, glimmering like a distant star. But as he drove away, he couldn't shake the feeling that they might just be rushing into the dark, blind to what lay ahead. And what awaited them on the other side of this storm? Jake swallowed hard as he drove through the busy streets, the engine's hum competing with the thoughts racing in his mind. He turned the music up, hoping the lyrics would drown out the tension, but the upbeat melodies felt hollow compared to the heaviness wrapped around his heart. Every upbeat note clashed with the grim reality awaiting him. A few blocks away, his friend Ryan was already waiting at their usual spot, the small diner lit up like a beacon of comfort. The smell of fries frying and burgers sizzling wafted through the air, usually a temptation, but today it veered toward surreal, like a moment stolen from a happier time. Jake, Ryan called out, waving him over. His bright smile faltered slightly as he caught sight of the worry etched on Jake's face. Hey man, you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. Just family stuff, Jake replied, forcing a smile. He didn't want to spill everything just now. Not over milkshakes and greasy food. All right, let us eat. You'll feel better, Ryan said, sliding into the booth as Jake settled opposite him. They ordered quickly, and soon plates of food arrived, though Jake barely registered the sight. He picked at his fries, staring off into the distance. Seriously, man, what's up? Ryan pressed, leaning in with a mix of concern and curiosity. You don't just zone out like this. Finally, Jake cracked. He tried to put it into words, but the thoughts tumbled out in a messy jumble. It's my mom. She's freaking out about losing everything, the house, everything we've built. And I just don't know what to do. We're trying to fight back, but it feels so big. Like we're outgunned. Ryan listened intently, his expression shifting from amused to serious. You know I've got your back, right? Whatever you need, we can figure it out. Jake appreciated the support, but the weight of his struggle felt different, as if it transcended his age. I can't let her lose hope. She's been through so much already. As they shared laughter and stories, Jake couldn't help but feel guilty. His worries felt misplaced alongside Ryan's carefree tales. Yet, in the noise of their friendship, he found a flicker of strength. Maybe he could lean on this bond, this lightness, to fuel the fight waiting at home. Emboldened, he pulled out his phone, scrolling back through the chaotic string of messages from Davis Associates. Something nagged at the back of his mind. There was an urgency in the wording of their final warning that felt personal. What if he uncovered who was behind it? Hey Ryan, Jake said, suddenly inspired. What do you think about a little investigation? Investigation? Like a mystery novel? Ryan chuckled, but Jake could see the intrigue in his eyes. Yeah, like digging into the company that's pushing us. Maybe there's something more to it. You know, how it connects to my mom's health issues and all that. I'm down. Let us tackle this together. Ryan's enthusiasm reignited a sense of purpose within Jake. As they left the diner, Jake felt lighter, no longer overwhelmed. Maybe he could find answers that would lead to a solution. Something that wouldn't just save their home, but also reveal the supporting layers of his mother's past. What if the true battle lies deeper than we thought? He mused aloud, surprising even himself with the revelation. Little did they know, lurking in the shadows was an unexpected disclosure that could change everything. In the distance, thunder rumbled ominously, a reminder of the storm brewing. Jake took a deep breath. They were racing toward something, and he had no idea how much that something would shake their world. "Bring it on," he murmured, driving into unknown territory, ready to uncover truths yet unseen. The weeks passed, tangled with hope and tension. Jake and Carol faced a mountain of challenges together, and for the first time in years, he felt as though they were fighting alongside one another instead of apart. Therapy sessions became their grounding force. They dug into the past, unearthing emotions long buried. Jake listened to Carol's stories with open ears, allowing her vulnerability to plant seeds of understanding. One rainy afternoon, Carol returned home carrying a heavy envelope. Jake instantly recognized the weight of dread etched on her face. "It's from Davis Associates," she said, her voice shaking slightly. "It's time we faced this head-on." They sat together at the kitchen table, the envelope resting between them like an anchor. Sunlight filtered through the damp clouds outside, casting a soft glow over the room that felt like a beacon of possible hope. Carol took a deep breath and slowly opened the envelope. Her hands trembled slightly as she read through the contents. "The letter outlines everything," she said finally, her voice trembling. "But there's a way to negotiate. If we prove we're making an effort to address the debt and commit to monthly payments, there's hope." "Then let us go for it," Jake declared, aware that surrender was not in their vocabulary anymore. A fire burned deep inside him, igniting a sense of purpose. "We have to tell them what we've been doing about therapy and how we're confronting everything together." With a newfound determination, they reached out to the creditor. Carol's voice was steady, filled with conviction when she explained their situation. Jake stood close by, holding her hand tightly, his heart racing as they spoke. This was their moment to reclaim their lives. They submitted their proposal, a payment plan coupled with evidence of their ongoing therapy sessions and commitments to break the cycle. It was a mix of vulnerability and strength, and it felt powerful to lay everything bare. As they clicked send on the email, it was as if a weight had been lifted from their shoulders. Weeks flew by, filled with apprehension. In between therapy, they grew braver, sharing laughter and the occasional tear. Carol told Jake stories of his grandfather, memories of resilience that painted a vivid picture of his warrior spirit. They found solace in shared anecdotes of family history, piecing together the broken fragments of their lives. Then the moment arrived. Their hearts raced as they checked their emails together. The moment hung in the air, charged with a sense of impending revelation. The email from Davis Associates flashed on the screen. Jake felt his palms sweat as Carol opened it with hesitant breaths. The news was they're accepted. They had a reprieve. But even better, they were given a chance to participate in a financial literacy program that could help them manage their expenses and make smarter choices moving forward. A wild mix of relief and joy erupted between them. "We did it, Mom!" Jake shouted, his voice cracking with emotion. Tears sparkled in Carol's eyes. "This is just the beginning. If we keep tackling it, we can rebuild." The next days felt intoxicating. They dove into budgeting, learning the intricacies of financial responsibility together, every lesson broadening their bond. Family dinners turned into brainstorming sessions. Their home became a joyous space, filled with laughter, echoing resilience. Nearby, the community events cranked back up, and the familiar faces of neighbors became a source of comfort. Slowly, step by step, they found healing not only with each other, but within the community they were part of. The day of the next veterans event arrived again. A new celebration of honor and resilience similar to the one that had set all these changes in motion. This time Jake stood with his mother, not just as a son reaching out, but as a partner celebrating their victories together. As they prepared to speak, he felt Carol's warmth beside him as she lightly squeezed his hand. She was not just his mother but his warrior, someone who was reclaiming her power. When the moment came for them to speak, the microphone hummed with energy. "Today isn't just about honoring the past," Jake began, his voice steady and strong. "It's about sharing that healing is possible, no matter the storm we face." Their eyes scanned the crowd as they spoke, words flowing like water, each syllable punctuated with shared laughter. "Mom taught me that vulnerability is where true strength can lie," he declared, feeling the edges of uncertainty fall away. Carol nodded, a radiant smile breaking through, lighting up her face. "And together we found our way back to each other." proving that love and forgiveness can be the keys to our future. Cheers erupted around them, people rising with gratitude, support flowing in waves. There in that moment they basked in the warmth of connection, embers of hope glowing brightly in a world they were now learning to embrace. And as the crowd celebrated, they stood together, hand in hand, no longer haunted by the shadows of the past. They had forged a new path, a journey that promised healing, acceptance, and love. This was their transformation, but their journey was just beginning. With open hearts they looked toward the horizon, ready to face whatever the world would throw at them next, and they knew they would do it together. Now is the time for you to support our journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories filled with hope and transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show we're all in this together. Comment below your feelings about this ending or share your own journeys. Your voices matter to us. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now and join the community. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.